Hi and welcome back to the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. This is Marla with Mad About Cards and Crafts, and I'm bringing you my final Scrapbook Pal design team project featuring Concord 9th's Poinsettia Fill-In dies and stamps. I have both of the products right here. You can see the stamp set on the right. To the left, the die set does come with a beautiful die that says Season's Greetings, and then it also includes the shadow, which makes the dies well worth purchasing. I am adding some tape to the back of a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card panel, and I am going to start by stamping my background stamp, which is the largest stamp in the set, using some Pinkfresh Studio Ocean Breeze ink. I do want to mention that Scrapbook Pal does carry Pinkfresh Studio ink. They are out of stock right now. They carry the mini ink cubes. So if you're interested in any of the inks that I'm using today, just put your name on the email list and they'll notify you when they're back in stock. Because this is a large area, I did want to prep my stamp. So I did take a Tombow sand eraser and went over the surface. I wiped it off using my microfiber cloth, and now it's ready for me to ink up. I will stamp this a couple of times to make sure I get a really nice impression. This stamp set is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You'll see that there is white space where the poinsettias are, and that is where I'm going to build my flowers. You can choose to do this with dimension or without dimension. I chose to use dimension today. So I did this a little bit the hard way. I could have stamped all of my images onto a piece of cardstock and cut them out using the dies. For whatever reason, I think it was because I was trying to get a feel for how large these dies were and how they would fit on a card other than using them with the Concord 9th background. I ended up cutting out my images, these two images first. So I'm only going to show you one of each image. For the first layer of leaves, I did use, I believe I used aquamarine. And then for this layer of the poinsettia, I'm using ballet slippers. And I'm going to stamp this twice. So the ballet slippers is kind of like a peachy pink. And now I'm going to stamp the third layer, which is going to be stamped in evergreen. And this does cut out in 3 pieces, so when I do use the die, I will get 3 separate pieces. I want to mention that you'll see that little sprig without any leaves. That is what gets attached to your card for the berries, so that the berries are going to be added to the ends of those. I did add that off camera, so you won't see me adding that, but you will see me add the berries. Now Concord 9th did add some circles or some punched out areas in the front that can be lined up on the leaves and the poinsettia. So you can see right there, I'm punching those out right there. That is to align the 2 layers. I found that it was just a little bit easier to put the puzzle pieces together right on the card panel. So I'm going to start with the leaves, and you can easily see that there's a 3-leaf cluster right there. There's a 4-leaf cluster to the left, and then you'll see where the berries are, and that's where I'm going to put that little tiny piece that cut out with these other 3. So I'm going to add some foam dimension. I did want to pop this up. You could add it to the bottom of the leaves on the portion that goes underneath the poinsettia. I chose to pop up my poinsettia. I liked that look just a little bit better. I'm going to align this, so I'm going to align the holes as the instructions indicate, and you'll see that I do end up pulling it apart because I thought that it was easier to line up the bottom layer on its own and then to put the poinsettia layer on top. So I'm going to add some art glitter glue to the back of this, and I'm just making sure I know where I want it to go. and I'll lay that down, and then it makes it easy peasy for me to line up the poinsettia leaves. So here I've added all of the poinsettias, all of the leaves that go underneath it and around it, and I'm going to trim everything down. Now this die set is supposed to work where those two pieces right there are supposed to fit on the other side of the card base. I struggled with one of the pieces, and so I ended up cutting out of another one, and it was much easier for me to put it together that way. I'll show you what I mean right here. So I find this piece, and this piece lines up perfectly. So that was cut off from the bottom, and I'm going to just glue that down. But it's that piece right there that I ended up just creating a whole nother section. It was much easier than trying to figure out how that piece up top aligned there. So I'm going to add my foam dots to this, and then I will cut this off as well. And the foam dots that I ended up not using, the portion of that flower, I do just take them off and put them back into the packaging. So here we're going to trim this down again using my Tim Holtz Guillotine trimmer, and I'll turn it around the other way. And then we're going to stamp out the berries. So for the berries, I did use the Raspberry Bliss, also from Pinkfresh Studio. And I'm going to stamp these 5 times, and then I'll use the die to cut them out. You will notice that there are the holes in the poinsettia, and you're thinking, well, that looks a little bit funky. Fear not, there's another die for that as well, a stamp and die for that as well. So I'm going to finish with just 2 more sets of these berries. And then I do use my jewel picker, which is much easier for me to pick everything up with once I get these cut out and place them where they belong. Once you understand how the flowers are arranged, so the orientation of the flower and the leaves underneath, everything goes together really quick and easy. So you can do mass production of this card super easy. And like I said, you don't have to add the dimension if you choose not to. So here I'm going in with those little berries, and you can see that this is adding just that much more detail to this. This is a really nice dimensional card. There's going to be a lot of interest in it, and I like that, but yet it was super quick and easy to put together. If you haven't subscribed to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel, we would absolutely love for you to subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when a new video is uploaded. As I mentioned, this is my last video for ScrapbookPal. I have absolutely loved being on this team, and I've loved bringing you videos. I hope you've enjoyed the content that you've seen over the past year from this team, and I'm super excited to see what the new team brings. Here's that other centerpiece that I was talking about for the poinsettia. I did use a ink, I think it's called oh my goodness, I don't have it here with me. I'll link it in the description box below. I'll list all the colors that I did use in the description box below. I think it's called like Lovely Lady or something like that. So here I'm adding those center pieces. That's covering up the holes. I will mention that my photo at the end of this, before I'm finished, it's going to look like one of those centers fell off. I do correct that in my final photo. Isn't that Season's Greetings absolutely beautiful? I didn't want to use the shadow because I thought that it was covering up too much of the poinsettias, and I think the poinsettias are just absolutely gorgeous. But because I do have dimension on the poinsettias, and because this is a very delicate die, I did cut it out 6 times. So I'm going to show you, I'm gluing together the layers right here. I end up doing it a total of 6 times, and I get a very strong chipboard feel to this die cut, and it's not going anywhere when I mail it. So that's why I added so many layers, because I did have that dimension, and I wanted to make sure that if I decided to mail this, that it wasn't going to get ruined in the mail. I do have this silver thread for my stash. I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. Off camera, I do tie a double bow. Tying bows is a struggle for me with my nails, and so I chose to do it off camera rather than to waste your time watching me fiddle with that. I'm going to glue this to my A2 size top folding card base, so my finished card is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I'll add that glue to the back of this Season's Greetings. There are a couple of spots where I didn't get the word adhered completely together, and so you're going to see that I will use my art glitter glue in between some of those layers just to make sure that I have a nice solid piece. I'm going to use my hands as pressure to hold this down for just a few moments. As I said, there is dimension behind the poinsettia, so it is not sitting completely flush, and I want to make sure that it gets adhered on the left side as well. There is that bow. I think it just finishes off the project. You can see the dimension that I talked about, which is super lovely. And finally, I'm going to add some crystal stickles. I will add it to the center of the poinsettia as well as a couple of the leaf clusters. I am going to miss one, but fear not, the final photo is going to show everything complete because, of course, I did catch it once I finished filming. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would absolutely love for you to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know if you liked my card. And I just want to thank you again for supporting this channel, for supporting Scrapbook Pal, and I look forward to seeing what the new design team creates. Thanks for joining me today. Have a fabulous day.